This video explains how to create and process a customer return in Chaos Control Cloud where the customer requires a refund and there's no exchange items involved. When creating a customer return, we recommend that it's always done from the original sales order. That way an audit trail is maintained and the system also takes into account the original payment type. We'll open up a sales order that contains an item to be returned and see how this process works. Here's the original sales order that contains the item to be returned. You can see that we can also tell from this sales order whether or not the item has been returned already. We'll now select the item to be returned and then we'll go to the Actions menu and select Create Customer Return Note. The dialog will ask you to confirm that you wish to create a customer return for the selected item. We then need to select a return reason in the grid from the drop-down. The return reasons will previously have been set up in system data. At this point it's also worth checking the quantity of items being returned, as if there was more than one item on the original sales order, the same quantity will populate in the return document. The return is now ready to be saved. It's worth noting that what we've done so far can be done in advance of actually receiving the goods back. In other words, the return can be saved and then reopened again later when we actually have the goods back and it's ready for processing. For the purposes of our video, we'll imagine that we've received the goods back and so the return is now ready to be processed. To process the return, we go back to the Actions menu and we select Process Return. At this point we're asked to confirm that we're happy that there are no exchange items and that we're processing a return only. Also that we're going to be generating a credit note. The credit note can subsequently be used by the customer or be refunded. We now see confirmation that the credit note has been generated. However, at this stage it has not yet been issued. We can now go ahead and issue the credit note from the Actions menu. Again, we're asked to confirm that we want to issue the credit note to the accounts. Now, by going to the Processing tab, we can see that the credit note has been issued and that the amount has been confirmed. As in this particular case the customer requires a refund for the returned goods, we now need to process a refund against the credit note. In cases where we're just issuing the customer with a credit note, this step can be omitted. To issue the refund, we use the Actions menu to open up the customer's record. We select Go to Customer. Then, by going to the Statement tab, we can see the credit on the customer's statement. We can then select the credit and then by going to the Actions menu we can process the refund. In the refund dialog we can select the bank account the refund will be coming out of, the payment type and any other references or authorization codes we require. As you can see, the refund's now been processed, balancing out the credit note. We'll now go back to our customer return document and the only thing left to do is to issue the return note from the Actions menu. Bear in mind that once this process is complete, the returned item will be back in your stock, so you may need to isolate it until you decide how best to deal with it. By checking the Processing tab, you can see that all the required actions have been completed. Thank you for watching.